It is truly the end of an era, as Bjergsen has announced that he is stepping away, and I figured it's time to talk some TSM. That is right. Unfortunately, one of the greatest players of all time in League of Legends history, at least one of the most storied ones, especially here in the LCS, has decided to, hang it up. Whether you're a Hundred Thieves fan, a Team Liquid fan, a TSM fan, um, especially if you're, I think, a TSM fan, losing Bjergsen to retirement is a pretty big deal. The 27-year-old just turned 27-year-old, which is crazy to think about, considering how long he's been even just in North America. But he announced on Twitter that he was stepping away from esports entirely to kind of just see what his life would be like, and that he didn't know exactly what he was going to do next. It didn't sound like he was entirely done with esports or League of Legends, but that he at least wanted to take some time to, figure out what did his life look like without either of these things. It was also just kind of heartbreaking to watch him talk about the fact that, that he was even suicidal to before League of Legends, before he was able to go pro and find what he felt was self worth, and was able to figure out that he could do more than just League of Legends over the last 10 years of his career, which is pretty incredible that he was able to play for as long as he did, and be such just an enormous player in the LCS's history. And it really is the end of an era. And I figured, I did one of these as one of the first videos for Talking TSM, and this isn't certainly going to be one of the last ones, but I figured an ode to Bjergsen yet again would not be a bad thing for us to go over, as he really is just full on retiring at this point. It sounds like I don't know that we'll ever see him play competitively again. I would love to see him involved in League of Legends again at some point, specifically helping the LCS, but I'll talk about that here in a little bit. In case if you didn't know, he started playing in the EU LCS, a version of it, at least back in 2012, so over 11 years ago now, almost exactly 11 years ago, apparently, considering it was in April. He came over to the LCS. Reggie, was replaced, essentially, had Bjergsen as his replacement in 2013, which is kind of crazy to think about, that a decade ago, Bjergsen was gracing us, in the LCS. I know specifically his first year was 2014, so I guess 9 years ago. But he was only an 18-year-old kid at that point, who, came over and became just an absolute star. He became the face of the league, the face of one of the most important franchises in the LCS. And, he played or coached for TSM from 2013 to 2021, which is crazy to think about. Again, at least 7-8 years, depending on if you count him starting in November of 2013 when he didn't actually play yet. Obviously, we all know he went and played for Team Liquid last year, did not get the results that he was looking for, and then yet again with 100 Thieves, he was not able to get the results he was looking for. And it sounds like, he just felt like he needed to still have the fire to be the best. And, was willing to, and whether or not he was willing to sacrifice, a lot of things in his life to become the player that he wanted to become. And so I am, it's crazy to think that he is gone, in terms of, the LCS. Like, I'm not going to talk about him like, outside, obviously, anything other than the fact that he will no longer be a part of the LCS or esports for the first time since 2013, at least in North America, which is truly, truly the end of an era. Looking at this, obviously, he won 6 championships, all with TSM, with his last one coming in the 2020 summer playoffs, that incredible run after they brought back Doublelift, the Broken Blade, Spica, Bjergsen, Doublelift, and Biofrost team. That team was just so good, man. What they were able to accomplish, and I know that Worlds didn't go as well for them, but um, it was still just an honor and an incredible feat to watch them play. They basically ruled the world from 2015 till 2017, at least the North American, League of Legends world. That team of, again, Bjergsen, Doublelift, Biofrost, Hanser, and Svenskeren is one that I will personally never forget. That's when I really, really started getting into TSM and League of Legends. Now, I liked the team before then because of Dyrus, but Bjergsen became my favorite player of all time. Dyrus introduced me to it, but it's Bjergsen that has always been a person who I would root for, and somebody who I believe is just still one of the best. Even when he's not playing at his best, he's still one of the best players in the LCS, and that's crazy to me when you think about it. And looking at sorry, this thing keeps popping up on here, but looking at his career, right? 786 total games played on 64 different champions. Syndra will be his career defining champion, one that I always remembered him on, finishing with a 5.6 KDA and a 67% win. But his Zillion ended up becoming his champion. 35 wins in 48 games, a 73% win percentage, and an 11.6 KDA. He died less than one time per game on the champion. I know that's kind of part of the reason for the champion is to keep yourself alive, but the fact that he even had more CS per minute on Zillion than he did on LeBlanc, that is just crazy when you think about it. And he always seemed willing to adapt and to make changes to help do what the team needed him to do. And the fact that he's gonna retire with a 60% win percentage, even with some leaner years here in the last few years, is pretty nuts. And with a lifetime KDA, right? This is KDA, right? Yeah, a lifetime KDA of 5.25. Just incredible. The man didn't even die 2 times a game in his LCS career. How many times have you gone through a game without dying twice, let alone somebody who can do it at the professional level? It's pretty insane to me. I can't emphasize enough just how good he was, and truly just what he was able to accomplish on this team. Being TSM, the man won. I can't believe he only won 3 MVPs. That's crazy to me. First team All Pro, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Second team All Pro 3 times. He was pretty much All Pro almost every single year of his career. He was an All Star almost every year that they had it. Kind of funny and crazy to me that he had 4 pentakills, and I remember this Azir one against Thunder Thieves. That was a pretty crazy game. He defined TSM and what the team was, and without him, it's felt very lost and different, to say the least. And I'll be really interested to see what he does next, because I'm hoping that he comes back one day, but even if he doesn't, the legacy that he's left is pretty incredible, to say the least. When you really think about what he has done and what he has meant to the LCS. And with times changing, yes, there are great players in the LCS. I love watching a lot of the EG players. I think players like Busio and Tenacity coming up and playing well have been really fun. The Prince Berserker rivalry is great. Blabber, I would say, might be one of the all-time greats, and we should try to appreciate him even as a TSM fan. Fudge, who am I? I'm sure I'm forgetting so many players. Spica, obviously, even over on FlyQuest right now. There are still a lot of big names and faces, but I just don't know that anybody will eclipse what Bjergsen and Doublelift. And we'll see if Doublelift, by the way, I mean, I'm sure that's going to be a huge question mark at this point as to whether or not he's going to even have the desire to stay at this point. And yeah, I guess I'll end with this. Like, it is truly the end of an era. The LCS, I guess this was kind of my previous point I was making, but the LCS is going to need to have these new guys step up. I think they're doing a better job of, showing them to the world, but, people are going to have to start gravitating towards newer players with people like Bjergsen being gone. I mean, when he stepped away to be a coach, which I thought he was a pretty solid coach, which is why I'm hoping he'll come back. It wasn't like he had really left that first time. This time he's going to be gone. Like, we will not see him. Maybe he'll show up to a game. Maybe they'll invite him onto, the casters. I don't know, analyst desk thing, couch, whatever, and have him maybe come cast a game or something like that. But like, he seems to be pretty certain that he's stepping away from the game for sure for good. And we'll have to see about esports slash League of Legends as a whole. Maybe he'll stream one day more consistently, or I don't know what he's gonna do. But I hope he does come back because I still think the LCS needs him. Not in the same role, not being one of the the players that people watch for, but somebody who can maybe help guide the league in figuring out what what will happen next, right? How can they make this transition that I think is going to be necessary for the league, as with CLG being gone, with TSM potentially being gone, and with other teams that I won't leak on here potentially looking to be sold. This is going to be a really rough next 6 months plus, I guess 8 months, as an LCS fan in general. And I implore you all to stick around. Like, I will probably be changing the way I do things depending on what happens next with TSM and the LCS. But like, I'm still planning on watching. I'm still planning on covering it. And even if you're a Bjergsen fan first and you're watching this, I really hope that you will, find other reasons to watch, gravitate towards TSM, TL, or 100 Thieves, or find another new team to really attach to. I know I really have enjoyed watching Evil Geniuses in particular, and even Cloud9 in recent years, since our rivalry has not been much of one because TSM hasn't been all that great these last few years. But I've enjoyed watching them because I think they have some fun and interesting and very talented players. So it is truly the end of an era for Bjergsen, and just personally, thank you, Bjergsen, for everything that you have done. I know I share the sentiments of a lot of people who were tearing up a little bit watching you say goodbye for good. It sounds like, at least, and we wish you nothing but the best. So yeah, I guess with that, I'll catch you all in the next one.